Hi and welcome to the webinar. It's great to have you here, and we're going to talk today about, well, quite a lot of stuff. It may raise lots of questions. That's fine. Feel free to ask them. And if you don't get a chance to ask them during the webinar and while I'm here, then you do have my email address. So feel free to drop me an email, ask any questions you want. I'll be very happy to talk to you and to answer your questions. So I'm going to go through the webinar now, the slides I've got, but let's start off by introducing myself. I'm the owner of Deptford Business Coaching, which is a business coaching company, and our aim, as I often say, is to help you as small business owners find additional revenue without having to spend money. So I aim to find at least 10,000 additional pounds, dollars, euros, whatever your currency is, and to help you to put that into action within the next 60 days. Now that sounds like a tall order, especially if you're struggling, but that's what I'm here to do, and hopefully we'll see how we can do that together. You won't get everything today, but you'll get some of the rough ideas to show you exactly what's possible. Just to say that I've authored a couple of business books. I'm just working on a third one as well at the moment, which is going to include some case studies, and if any of you watching this would like to be part of that, then give me a shout. It'd be great to have you on board, completely free of charge, and obviously when the book's out there, that'll give you a good plug as well. But I want to talk to people to find out if my process, my coaching process, my growth strategies actually work in your business, and then I want to include those case studies, as I say, in my next book. My first book is actually on my website, which you can go to and download. I think it's on the homepage actually, so do feel free to download that completely free. And my other book is a book about public speaking. Apparently public speaking is the #1 fear of everybody. And I was like that very much. I was I still am very shy actually. Nobody believes me, but I am. And I overcame that fear, and I'm quite happy to stand on stage anywhere now and talk to however many people there are. And that's something that I wanted to share with other people, hence writing that book. Now, my life story is that I trained as a social worker, and I worked with children and families, and it was I actually really enjoyed working with the client group, and I've got loads of very funny stories I could tell about that. But I found it very difficult because there's nowhere to progress really, apart from into management. And it's an area where there is a huge amount of bullying, and I'm just not that sort of person. And so the care that I was able to give to people was great. I loved doing it, and I actually missed some of those old clients. But I couldn't do what I wanted to because I was always held back by the red tape really. So that's why I went out for myself, and you might think, well, that's a big change. A lot of people say that was a huge change. Well, actually I don't think it is, because when I was a social worker, my aim was to help people make improvements and move on to where they wanted to be. And it's exactly the same in this. And of course, in social work, sometimes you have to drag people kicking and screaming. But I think in business you do as well. Sometimes I talk to people and they say, yeah, it looks nice, but I don't really want to do the work. Well, I can't really help people like that. But if you're keen, if you're hungry for change, if you're hungry for growth, and you're prepared to listen, then I'd love to help you. So what's today's game plan? Well, let's walk through that quickly. I want to provide you with actionable strategies that you can use literally starting from today. And I say actionable, I underlined that there because that's so important. You know, you can talk about strategies, you can buy books, and it's all sounds good. But unless you're able to put them into action immediately, then it doesn't really get you where you want to be. So that's what I want to do, give you things that you can use from today. I want you to be able to triple your leads. So the number of people that are coming to you interested in your service, let's triple that, and then double conversions, because it's all right having hundreds of leads coming to you, or even just however many you need, but if you can't convert those into customers, clients, then they're not much good, are they? And because of doing those two things, I want to help you grow your revenue and profits exponentially. So we're not just talking about a linear increase. once things start building, they really compound. And that's one of the things I talk about, how making small changes can compound in your business to result in big revenue and profit growths for you. So today's game plan is to develop a roadmap that you can use starting this week to improve your sales and marketing results. Now, again, I've put a very short timescale on that. I like to say that, we're going to get you where you want to be within 60 days. And when I talk to people, sometimes we amend that to 90 days. And I also give people training that covers an entire year. And that's all well and good, but I want you to see changes within 60 days. So those are things that you can implement straight away, not study this course for the next 6 months and then, we'll see if we can do it. Get running, because when you've got momentum and results, we're going to go through these 8 things, and there are far more than these, but these are the key things in any business that will really help you grow. And just to go over those very quickly, you can read them yourself, but advertising, joint ventures, upsell and cross-sells, how to expand your products and increase customer revenue, downsell. And that's an interesting one. You think, downsell, surely that's taking money off, but we'll explain that. A drip campaign, some of you may or may not use those, you may not even be familiar with that, but don't miss out on that. Discount, don't discount, we'll get on to more about that in a minute, it's fascinating. And how to cut unnecessary expenses. Well, we're going to do that by looking at these 5 areas, which I call the 5-step profit formula, written there. Because any business needs to cover these 5 areas really efficiently and really well. And as I say, that's why I look at taking 60 days with people, because you're not going to do all these things instantly. Some people may not even see the need to do those things. And as we get through this, you'll see what I mean by that. I'll just give you a very quick example. Estate agents, real estate agents are one of my favorites. They seem to have been doing the same things for the last, 50 years, certainly since I was a child, adverts in the papers. Now, it may work, but I always think, is there another way to get more leads through the door? It's all about thinking differently. And then, as I said earlier, converting more of those leads into paying clients. That's what we want, isn't it? We don't want the just looking people. We want the, that's exactly what I'm looking for. How much is it? Can I buy it now? That's what we want, isn't it? Conversions and transactions. So you've got your conversions, but if they buy one thing and disappear, that's okay, but you've got to go and look for more people. It's always much better to have repeat business, the same clients, customers coming back. A restaurant's a great example of that, isn't it? You go to a good restaurant or even a passable restaurant and you really like it, the service is lovely, food's great, and say you want to go back. That's what the restaurant owner needs, and that's what we all love. And that's what we call more transactions. The same people coming back and spending more money. And then we're going to look at higher prices. That might be a big thing, but it's interesting. We'll get into this in more detail. As I say, it's very interesting that a lot of people worry about putting their prices up. And I love to explain to people how that is not going to adversely affect your business in the way that you necessarily think it will. And then because of all those things, we want to skyrocket your profits and we want you to dominate the market that you're in. So let's move on then. And you've probably come across this 80-20 rule, sometimes called the Pareto principle. I think after the person that developed the concept. And it's a very simple principle that states that 20% of the effort produces 80% of the results that you see. So you've got this massive amount of effort that you're putting in, but only 20% of it is what leads to your results, the results that you want. And you might think, what on earth am I doing with the other 80%? And that's something to think about, isn't it? But what we want to do then is focus on that 20%, hone that 20% down to being a fine art, so it's producing as much of that, or the most profitable 80% that you can do. And then the 80% of your effort maybe only leads to 20% of your results. So it's about analysing what you're doing and how you can do it better And it's quite a fun thing to do. Quite surprising, quite challenging sometimes when you realise, actually, I don't really need to do that. Let's focus on this. So we'll think about that as we go through today. So as we say, this is a 5-step formula that we're going to start going through. I like to use this little profit growth calculator, and I just put this into, I use this when I work with clients, and I put the figures into this that a client might have, and then we start thinking about small increases can lead to big results for you, big returns. So as we go down this, you can see we've got there the 5 things that we've just talked about: the leads, the more conversions, the more transactions, higher prices, and the more profits. So let's put some figures in there. So if we have a baseline of 1,000 leads coming in over the year, say, and we convert those at maybe 25%, so a quarter of all those leads are converted into customers or clients. Now, that means you've got 250 customers coming in. But what if you increase your transactions by 10? What if you raised your prices by $100, but £100, or depending on your product, £100, euros? And what if you increased your profits by 25%? Now that's really interesting to see the figures on that. Originally, your profit was 62,500, but yet if you increase things by just 10%, that means that your baseline is now 1,100 leads coming in, and your conversions have gone from 25% to 7.5%. Your customers have changed from 250 customers to 302. And when you look at it, the figures like that, it's quite an enormous number, isn't it? It's a significant number that's going to make a huge difference to your bottom line. And what if you increased your transactions? You've got 10 more transactions there. What if you had 11? A tiny amount, isn't it? Just 10%. And raised your prices, not to 100, but to 110. Again, hardly anything. Would your customers notice that? Most of them wouldn't. Some would moan, but you probably don't want them anyway. but raise that by £10 to 110, and your total revenue instantly changes then to 365,000, coming up from 250,000. It's a significant change. And what about if your profits increase from 25% to 27.5%, just that 10% increase? That would lead to a profit of 100,000 for that year, 100,490. That's up from 62,500. So you can see how just a 10% increase in those 5 areas leads to significant changes. So that's something to focus on. But what if we were able to increase those by 50%? Now you might think, well, 50% is absolutely massive. There's no way I can do that. And yet, that's what I'm here to do. I talk about increasing things by 3, 5, less than 10%, which is achievable. But what if you aim to do that, and then, because you've done that, actually you found you're able to increase things by more, by 50%. Now, if that were to happen, this is what the figures would look like. Your leads would be 1,500 leads in the year or whatever time period. Your conversions would go up to 37.5%. Your transactions would go from 10 to 15 for each of those clients. And your prices, you've increased your prices by 50%. So rather than 100, they've gone up to 150, obviously. And again, that sounds like a big jump. But you're going to keep the clients, the customers that really value your product and your service. And those are the ones that are going to come back as repeat customers. And your profits are going to go up to 37.5%. And that leads to, this is a staggering figure, I think, just using those figures. That leads to a profit total of 474,000, up from the original 62,500. And that's where you start to get excited about making those little changes, rather than thinking, oh, there's nothing I can do. I can't do anything in terms of price, or I can't bring more people in. Yes, you can. And that's what I'm here to help you to do. So here's a key to successful marketing. And these are really key points. So make notes of these or save these down, because this is really important. Because lots of people want to reach out and create more leads, but how do you actually do that? How do you get into the head of your potential customers? This is how you do it. You must be able to enter the conversation taking place in the head of your prospects. So you see lots of businesses. I see lots of businesses out there. You do as well, I'm sure. Well, and this may apply to some of you. Somebody has a great idea for a business because it's something they love doing. So they set up this business and nothing happens, or it only lasts a few months, or they get into financial difficulties because it's not really working out. And that's because they got into their own head. They love doing whatever it is that they love doing, but they haven't talked to their customers. They haven't been able to see things from their prospective customers' point of view. They're through their eyes. So you must be able to enter that conversation of your prospects, and I will teach you how to do that. You must be able to address the number one question on your prospect's mind at just the right time. So you're not looking, and we'll get into this in a bit more in detail in a second, but you're not looking for, the scattergun approach of, let's get out there to as many people as possible, because then we'll find that one person that needs our service. What we're trying to do with this is hone in on the person that needs your service when you're ready to give it to them. And that sounds impossible, but it's not if we do things correctly. And the conversation, this will help you, that's taking place in every prospect's mind revolves around two major points, and only those two major points. The first one is that there's a problem that they have and they don't want. I mean, look at the diet industry. The problem is, I've got 20 pounds I need to lose on my stomach. My age is not decreasing, funnily enough, but I've got to lose that weight. What can I do about it? I've got to do that. That's a problem that they've got and they don't want. And your job is to give them the result that they want, but they haven't got. How can they lose that weight? Simply, effectively, and permanently. I don't know what to do, they're saying, but you have the answer. And so it's the mixing of those two things, the meeting of those two things that we aim to do. I use something called the conversion equation, which sounds a bit mathematical, but believe me, it's not. If it was, I wouldn't do very well on it. The conversion equation is how you start to meet those people where they are. And these are the four aspects to it. You interrupt, you engage, you educate, and then you make your offer. Well, how do we do that? Excuse me. The interrupt is your headline. The headline is what captures your audience's attention. And that headline has to be relevant. So, for example, going back to our weight loss concept, somebody's got to lose that 20 pounds. Well, if they come across a headline that says, "Are you trying to lose 20 pounds? Or are you struggling to lose that 20 pounds of extra weight?" That immediately keys into what their needs are, doesn't it? And I think, you're talking to me. So that's the interrupt, that's your headline, the most important piece. The engage, the second aspect of our equation there, is the subheadline. So if you imagine, we'll talk about this, I'll show you this in a second, but you imagine your headline at the top of the page and then your subheadline underneath. That starts to engage your viewer, your reader, in a bit more detail. Then you educate them. You're saying, "What? That's your problem. I've got your problem. I understand that. Here's what we can do about it." And then educate is, and this is how we're going to do it. It's the information you provide, either verbally or in writing, that presents evidence. They want to know that it works to your prospects, that you and your product can actually do what they need. It's superior to everything else out there. And this is what we call the market dominating position. We want you to be above everybody else in some special way, so that when people see your advertising, your marketing, whatever it might be, a conversation with you, they're deciding to go with you because there's nobody else that can touch you. So that's educate. Start to tell them something about what you can do for them. And then the offer. We talk about making a compelling offer, something that is so irresistible that your prospects just can't turn you down. They've got to have what you've got. And so when they go through that equation, they're not aware of that. But each step of that is answering a bit more of their question and giving them the solution that they didn't really know they wanted. They didn't really know they needed. They just had a problem with no solution. And now they found you that can meet their need and change things for them. Now, one of the things that's really important to remember is that marketing messages are absolutely saturated. One of my pet hates is TV advertising. And my wife gets annoyed with me because I always turn the volume off. So we're watching a drama or something on TV and there's a commercial break, and I always turn the volume off. Well, I've noticed recently that she started doing the same. I don't know if she does it when I'm not there, but anyway, I turn it off because I don't want to be bombarded with the same messages over and over again. And being involved in marketing, I can kind of, and I'm sure many of you are the same, you can kind of read between the lines. You see what's going on. There was a classic advert quite a few years ago, for a hairdryer. And it was, I won't say the name of it because I'll get sued, but it was supposed to be a really quiet hairdryer that did things really quietly and just got on with the job without making a fuss. Well, the opening shot was a girl using a hairdryer on her hair, and her hair was going everywhere, and it was just a mess. And I thought, that's got nothing at all to do with the noise a hairdryer makes. It's not the noise that makes your hair blow around everywhere. It's the angle that you're pointing it. But it was a key. It was something that hooked on to people's emotional desire to have something easy to use and that did the job without getting in the way. But what I'm saying is that people get used to things like that, and so it doesn't mean as much anymore. So we have to have multiple touch points before your prospects will buy what you sell. They have to become aware of who you are. Now, it's said that nowadays it takes anywhere from 20 to 100 touch points, or 100 times of seeing an advert, or 100 times of being exposed to some sort of advertising, before a prospect makes their buying decision, which seems an enormous number. But, and this is a key thing, if we follow the conversion equation, that reduces that amount from maybe somewhere between 5 to 12 points of contact. Now, why is that? Let's just pop back to the conversion equation itself. It's because you're already answering those questions. If that hairdryer advert had said, do you get sick and tired of noisy hairdryers? Oh yeah, I do, that's me. What can I do about it? Well, here's a solution. That might have been better. I'm not saying it would have been, but that's what I'm saying, that you need to, if you follow that conversion equation, it takes your prospects further along the journey without them having to see you so many times. And the other aspect of this is that most businesses do not follow up with their prospects at all. And this provides a huge window of opportunity to anybody that does follow up. So if you follow up with your prospects, they're more likely to go to you. Now, what do we mean by follow up? Well, this is exactly what we mean. Those 20 to 100 touch points are follow-ups, or following the conversion equation, those 5 to 12 touch points. So if somebody becomes aware of your advert and they get in touch with you, but then don't do anything, you could look at that as a lost client. But if you keep in touch with them, eventually they'll think, yeah, that is exactly what I need. That's right. Let's go back to that person. That's not always the case, of course, and this doesn't guarantee sales, but it moves things ahead in a really dramatic way. As we've seen there, it reduces the conversion equation from 20 to 100 touch points to round about 5 to 12 touch points. So it makes an enormous difference. And this is what I mean by that. We call this the buyer's journey. Oh, sorry, there's a apostrophe missing there. Should it be one buyer or more than one? I'm going to go for more than one and change that slide. So here we are. The line there that we see, the person on the left there climbing up that stack of books, is looking for information. And the question they're asking is, well, why should I buy anything that you're offering to me? Why should I buy that hairdryer? Why should I buy that course? Why should I buy that financial information that you're offering me? That's future buyers. At some point in the future, they may be ready to buy. They may be interested in your product, but they may not. The next group of people in this huge number of people is the soon-to-be buyers or soon-to-buy buyers. And they're the ones that, yeah, they're ready, they're interested. For example, you want a new car. You know that you want a new car, you're interested in it, but you're not quite sure what car to look at. And you've seen the adverts and you've been to various showrooms, but you're still not sure. But nobody's going to stop you getting a new car when you find the right one. So their question is, why shouldn't I buy? Why shouldn't I get a new car? I can afford it. I've seen some that I like. Family's in agreement. I need to get a bigger one anyway, so why shouldn't I go and do that? So that's another group. But the smallest group, that 1% or even less than 1%, is the now buyers, the people that are ready to buy now. And all they're asking is, who should I buy this from? So go back to that person looking for a new car. They know they need a new car. They've made a decision to get a new car. They've got the money all sorted out for the new car. And they've decided which model and make and engine size they're going to go for. All they need to do is find the right person to buy from. And it's that 1% that we're trying to meet where they are at. We don't want to waste time scattergunning all the other people saying, oh, do you think at some point in the future you might like a new car? Don't know. We want to aim for that 1%. So here's an example of that. Gary Bussing's a financial advisor, and what he's got here is lots of ways. His website looks quite nice. It's nice colours and a nice photograph of him and all his details there, phone number. There's even a map if you click on that. Over here there's another phone number. It's all good stuff, isn't it? Surely. But what is he offering? He tells us about him. Well, I don't really care. I don't even know what these letters stand for. But, I'm not really interested in somebody's qualifications. What I want to know is, have they got what I need? Now, I can fill in this form and maybe somebody will get back to me. I can phone this number. Oh, look, it's free. It's not going to cost me anything. It's going to cost Gary something. I could do that. But my fear then is that they're going to try and sell me what it is that they want to sell. But I actually don't know what they're selling. So that makes it more awkward for me. Same with this one, chiropractic practice. And that's not a good thing to say. Again, we've got a phone number there. We've got happy, smiling people, and they look like the sort of people that I wouldn't mind working on my back if I needed that. We've got a little illustration there to suggest a healthy person. We've got some letters there that I don't actually know what they stand for, but we could guess. Can we something to do with chiropractic? What do you think? Association? I don't know. And we've got two numbers in two different places that we can contact, but I don't actually want to phone them yet because I don't know what they do. I don't know if they know what I want, because that's what's important. I don't care about them. They look nice, but I care about my back that's killing me. Can they help my back? They're not telling me that. So that's what we want to overcome. So in order to do that, we need to go back to this buyer's journey. We need to be thinking about how we can meet that 1% of people that are looking for something specific right now that I can provide. And they need information to do that. They need the correct information. So here's an example as well that takes you through how we can change things. Again, this is a nice looking website. There's a video there, a little short video on this website that explains who this is. The psychologist John Smith, nice chap. Nice little office there, and all looks good. And these are all the things he can help with. Fantastic. And if you want to contact us, we'll give you a free consultation. Well, how tempting is that? Great, let's get something for free. That might help me to sort my problems out with my child. And it also might mean that if I phone that number, you're going to talk to me and make me buy something. And also, have a look at this, specialising in all these areas. But I don't have all those areas that I have a need in. I only have one area, and that's a child that is misbehaving, and whatever I do, I can't help them. And I love my child, and I want to sort that problem out. I want us to have a fantastic relationship. I've got to go through all those to find that. So what do we do about that? There we are, all the things that he specialises in, and I don't want all those things. So what we do is we do this. We change it to a much simpler formula, and this is what we call a landing page, or sometimes a squeeze page, because it squeezes our prospects' information, the vital information, into our sales funnel, so we're able to talk to them more sensibly. Now, this also has a video, same color scheme, but it has a different. Let's just go back. It has a different little panel of information down here. This is very vague, isn't it? Greetings, parents. I want to welcome you to Remarkable Parenting. All sounds good. You'll find tons of great information, hundreds of pages of articles. I don't want tons of information, hundreds of pages. I want a solution now. I've got a problem now. So we've changed that. And what we did was change this to a little bit more information here, but it meets you where you are. It meets that child, that parent, where they are. And what have we got at the top? We've got interrupt here. Are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming, belligerent attitude of your child? Yeah, that's me. What can I do about it? Now, here we are. Now you can discover the secrets to controlling your child, and instantly, oh, I've got to get that. You see how that changes things automatically. You're already keyed into it. Instantly restore peace and quiet in your home. Okay, well, how can we do that? And here's the educate side of things. So you can click on the video, and essentially it says this: is your child yelling, screaming at you? Talks about the problems that you're experiencing. And as this illustration here might be a bit vague, but we instantly know what that feels like, don't we? An argument with a child. We the mum there is getting them trying to get them to shut up and listen to her, but they're not doing. And you instantly know the emotion that's in that. And all it's asking you to do here is put your first name and your email address in there. And the promise is that you will find how to control your child in less than 60 seconds. That's amazing. And of course, the copy here goes on to say that you'll have a series of 60-second techniques. A series of 60 seconds is nothing, just a minute, and I've learned something new that's going to help me. Now that is what I need to know. And that's the video script, as we talked about. You can read through that very quickly if you want. So it answers those questions. As a parent, are you struggling to gain control? Oh, blimey, that's me. Yeah, what can I do about it? Is your child yelling and screaming? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Oh, the stuff he comes out with. Well, I'm John Smith, and I help parents just like you. In fact, let me prove it to you. He's going to prove what he's saying, because he's going to give me these 60-second techniques to help us almost instantly. Let's see if they work, and if they do, I'm coming back for more. You can't even stop me. And you see how different that is to this free consultation. I don't even know what that's about. The first question in that is going to be, well, which of these areas do you want to talk about? Or what's your problem? But filling that form in, you've instantly already provided the explanation, and you've asked for these 60-second techniques, these things that are instantly going to help you. So we're already on the same page. And all you need to do is add your name in there. And that takes you back to the original, as I did moments ago, to show you how it looks nice, but it's confusing. So that's what we want to do. What my role is, I often say to people, is to cut through the overwhelm of trying to do this. You're trying to meet everybody's needs out, and I know John won't mind us talking about this, but you're trying to offer something to everyone, that scattergun approach. But instead of that, let's home in on that one thing that that one type of client needs now. Now, these are the figures. So with this web page, he was getting around about 300 leads a month, and 10% called to ask about the consultation. And those 10% that consented to the consultation, 3 became new patients. So that's 1% out of the 300 leads that he was getting. Only 1% converted to clients. So that doesn't sound a look, but it is probably typical. So let's have a look at this page. How did that change? Again, let's have a look at that. He's still advertising in the same places. He's still talking to the same people. So he's still getting 300 leads a month. But 20% requested the offer. All they've got to do is put the name and the email address in there. And then 10% consented to the consultation. And out of that number, the 6 that consented to that consultation, everyone became new patients. And the average sale value was $800 for that. So that was instantly, because of changing this page, a $2,400 per month increase, or looking at it annually, $28,800 annual revenue increase. Now, let's go on to the next one. That's given you a lot to think about and a lot to scribble down and look at your own business and think, well, how can I do that better? Let's move on to joint ventures, because that's a really great way of building your business. Joint ventures include 2 or more businesses that decide to form a partnership. And they're going to share markets and endorse a specific product or service to their customer base. And they usually do that under a revenue share agreement. So that's what you agree with your joint venture partners. The key to creating successful joint ventures is to find people who service the exact type of clients that you do and that need and want what you sell. And you might think, well, that's a bit risky, isn't it? Because if we're approaching the same people, surely we're going to lose out. They're going to take my business, I'm going to take theirs, they'll hate me. But actually what we're doing is we're complementing each other and therefore increasing the business to both of us. Now, a lovely example of this that I really love is the wedding industry, because there are so many people involved in planning and putting on a wedding event that they can all interact with each other. I want to look at the florist. You know, she's down there. I'm saying she, but be a man. Do you like flower arranging? I love flower arranging. In our house, if anybody gives us flowers or we buy flowers, it's always me that arranges them. I like having flowers around. Anyway, let's move on from that. So there's a chain of events when somebody gets married, and it often starts with a jeweler. The jeweler provides the wedding ring. Well, we have to pay them. And then the wedding planner. I've got a friend who plans events like this, and I mean, it's hard work. But in order to do that, there has to be a church or a chapel or a venue of some sort where the wedding is going to take place. Then might be a different venue for the reception. Oh, by the way, before we get to those places, we need to sort a wedding dress out. And people like, you might have noticed this, people like wedding venues to look really nice. So you need a florist to provide some decoration and some beautification and just to make it more personal. Oh, and then when you have this reception venue, you might need a wedding cake. Oh, yeah. And with the wedding cake, of course, you might need a couple of courses before that. So you need a caterer. And in order to get those guests to your wedding, you're going to need a printer to provide the invitations, to create those invitations. Every one of those people above the florist is perfectly positioned to refer business to the florist. So imagine that. You go to the jeweler, buy the engagement ring, engagement happens, everybody's happy. And the jeweler says, oh, by the way, have you thought about flowers yet? Here's a card of a local florists. They do a fantastic job. In fact, I've got some illustrations of photographs. Look at them, beautiful. Oh, that's great, thank you. Then you go to the wedding planner. The wedding planner says, oh, do you know what? As part of this wedding, the venue's going to look so fantastic with flowers. Have you thought about flowers yet? Oh, yeah, I'd really like yellow roses. That's my favourite, by the way, if you want to send me some. You know, whatever. Well, that's interesting you should say that, because I know a florist that can help you there. Here's some photographs. The reception venue. You go to this venue, have a look around, and they say, oh, by the way, here's some photographs of how we set this up in the past. Oh, you might like the floral arrangements, or you might have your own. Have you got your own ideas? I've got a florist that can really help you out with that. Same with a wedding dress. I don't need to go through all of them, do I? We'll be fed up with weddings by the time we've gone through this. But then lower than the florist, you might have the wedding cake to be planned and the printer to produce the invitations. And so they could receive referrals from the florist. So you see how they're all actually joint venturing without knowing it. So why don't we make that a profitable joint venture? If the florist could just get one referral from everybody above them in that chain, what difference would that make? And then they could send a referral to the ones below. And if that was in a different order, say somebody came to you as a florist and said, oh, you know, we're having this wedding, and oh, have you got everything sorted out then? Have you planned the wedding? No, I haven't. Oh, well, tell you what, I know a really good wedding planner. So they can be mutually beneficial like that. It doesn't have to be in that order, as you can obviously work out. Now, what if, these are just ballpark figures because I don't know how much wedding flowers cost, but what if the cost was dollars, pounds, whatever, that a single referral every month would lead to 36,000 in additional revenue for that florist, which is phenomenal. 36,000 additional, wow, depending on the price of your flowers. Same with the cake. If you referred, that florist referred to the baker, wedding cake maker. I was looking at wedding cakes the other day actually just to get an idea of the price, and I don't think they cost 3,000. They might do in some places, but several hundred for a several tiered one. If you get a fancy one, yeah, it's going to cost a lot. So they're expensive things. It's not really an investment, is it? Because you eat it. But anyway, something that's an important part. Then for that wedding cake producer, baker, cake decorator, a single referral a month for them would increase their revenue by 3,600. So if the average sales for printing is 1,000, another referral from the florist to the printer could lead to a 1,200 increase for them. So if you add up all those figures, the florist could be earning an additional 4,800 just from talking to all those people. And those are conservative numbers. You know, we just looked at a few percentage there of what those people could be referring to them. So there's additional revenue. And of course, that's, as I said earlier, that's mutually beneficial, certainly, because every one of those people is going to benefit from every other of them, leading to additional revenue for all of them. Now, what if that florist also, as a little tie-in, gave them a little leaflet called 5 Things Every Bride Should Know to Avoid Disaster on Their Wedding Day? Might that be something that's helpful? And in that leaflet, what if they referred to some of these other businesses that they're joint venturing with? Would that make a difference? You want to really get away from disastrous weddings, so how about if you talk to this wedding planner? They're absolutely fantastic. Oh, I'll do that. You see how that works? Now, I mentioned this earlier as a bit of a possibly concerning area. That is downselling your way to wealth, which sounds ludicrous, doesn't it? Downselling is lowering your price, and yet that's what we want to talk about. So somebody comes to you and says, well, I really like what you're offering, but I don't know, it's too expensive. And after some discussion, what if you were able to offer them an alternative lower price? What difference would that make? Because the whole point of that is to turn your prospect not into nothing, but into a client. You may have lowered your income in the first place, but you gain the opportunity to do business with them again. And that's what's important. As we said earlier, you want to increase the number of transactions. So that person comes to you and says, oh, yeah, this is what I want, but I don't want to pay that much. I can't really afford that. How about I do it for this? Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. And they'll come back to you again. That's stating the obvious. You know all that. An example is a health club. You know, we're all familiar with health clubs and the vast amounts of money you fork out and never go, oh, no, you don't do that, do you? Everybody goes to the health club. So you could sell a 1-year gold membership program. But then what if they didn't want a year's membership program and they couldn't afford that? How about selling them a 90-day health makeover membership? What you can do in 90 days, you could prepare for a triathlon or a marathon. Fantastic. What if they couldn't afford that? What about 1-week trial membership? Come along and try it and see how you like it. And then maybe, you can sign up for something else. Or the florist, going back to our favourite florist. They sell, I'm going to do it this time, he sells a dozen roses, probably yellow if I'm going to buy them, for $50. Now, what happens if somebody comes in and says, oh, I can't really afford to pay $50 for a dozen roses? Is there anything else? Well, how about, tell you what, why don't I let you have them for $25? Just doing that could increase his net income by $8,000 annually, depending on how many people come through the doors. Just by saying, actually, let me give you something else. And what I would do as well is offer something with that, some bonus with that, and we'll talk about that in a second. That's only one possible downsell opportunity. There are so many that you can think of to allow somebody to get in to your sales funnel, to become a client that you can continue communicating with. And that's where the next point comes in. Excuse me. A drip campaign, a revenue producing drip campaign. What do we mean of that? As we've said, most sales occur between the 5th and the 12th point of contact, especially if you're following our conversion formula as we talked about before. And so that's what we want to improve on. So a drip campaign automatically delivers a form of communication to those people that have shown an interest. So if we go back to that psychologist, John Smith, what he was doing is collecting people's email address and name. So every so often, every week or every month, he would send out an email with the next little 60-second snippet of information that's going to help them. So every month they get this email, oh yeah, John Smith, oh, that was fantastic last month, let's try this one. So he becomes right in the forefront of their consciousness. He is the psychologist they're aware of. And that's what you want to do as well. Not become a psychologist, well, unless you want to, maybe you already are. but you understand what I mean, meaning you'll keep communicating with your clients on a regular basis, or potential clients. And I sign up, as many of us do, to many email campaigns, and some people only communicate once a month. I talked to somebody recently and I said, are you doing this? And he said, well, yeah, but I don't like to pester people. And a lot of people think that, but actually there's another company that I get almost daily emails from, and I really enjoy them because I can flick through them or delete them if I don't want them, but sometimes there's something really interesting. And here is a really good example of that. This is a sunroom or a conservatory company over in America. But what they did was, when somebody signed up to their product and showed an interest in what they were offering, they sent them little postcards every month that showed them the benefits of owning a sunroom. And each one of those, of course, was if you like, an added incentive to buy their own sunroof conservatory. And they're beautifully illustrated. There's all the benefits, 7 benefits we're going to go through over a period of time. And that helped them keep that company in the forefront of their mind. I enjoy yours in your underwear. I suppose it depends where your conservatory is. Oh, excuse me. So it appeals to why somebody might want a conservatory, and this appeals to me. I actually went out and sat in my car yesterday because it was so lovely and warm out there. It's a beautiful sunny day today, but it's actually not warm, but it was in my car. If I had a conservatory, I would have done that. Recharge your solar batteries. Benefit 5, increase the value of your home. Now that's a great one, isn't it? Might be an additional cost to begin with, but it increases the value of my home. And each of those was followed up with a postcard, literally through the post. They actually paid to send them through the post, because when you get something from somebody you're familiar with through the post, it's not quite the same as junk mail, because there's a familiarity. It's a reminder. Yeah, I was talking to those people. So each of those benefits was backed up by a postcard. There we are. Instant equity. It adds value. Amazing. Going back to our psychologist, Dr. Smith, each of those things that he did allowed him to continue talking to his prospects who'd become kind of clients because they were already using part of his system. He was giving something to them of value for no real cost, except it was giving them the opportunity to contact him and talk to him more. Yeah, I really like that, but I need a bit more. Okay, here's what we can do for you. So that looks like this formulaically. And as I said at the beginning, it's like a funnel. So you've got 300 leads, as Dr. Smith had coming in, 6 opt-ins for the free, 60 opt-ins for the free offer. And that led to 6 clients for Dr. Smith. That's a pretty good return. But that means that 54 of those prospects, and they're qualified because they've already put their name and their email address into that form, engage in his services. That means that each of those will be put into the drip campaign. Now, in actual fact, that drip campaign produced 156 new clients that would never have converted without having those ongoing communications from Dr. Smith. So you can see the beauty in that, keeping in touch with your prospects by something that's actually automated. And we'll help you to set that up if that's what you want. So by month 12 of year 1, he was generating 30 new patients every month. But what if he couldn't handle that? What if he just didn't want 30 new ones a month? I mean, that's a heck of a lot of work. Well, all you do is you stop working with them. Easy. You don't do that. You don't go through that process anymore. Maybe you remove your advert, or maybe you put things on hold. And of course, some of those clients will only be with him for a short period. So you work out what's best for you. But the fact is that if you've got people coming in, then you know, into that funnel, then you know that you've got an ongoing selection of people that you can work with, new clients. So let's have a look at more transactions. And this is about upselling and cross-selling to make more profits. So when you upsell, you know what that is. You go to McDonald's and they say, would you like to supersize that? Or would you like fries with that? Or, you know, whatever it is. So upselling is offering something of higher grade or quality or even size of the item that the customer's already bought so that they have more value in that. But of course, you're letting them have that for a slight increase in price. But cross-selling means offering a complementary product that's going to benefit them in other ways to what they want. What they came in for originally, what they spoke to you about originally. Now, according to statistics, 34% of prospects will buy additional products if they are asked to do so. And how many of us go to a shop and say, oh, blimey, you get to the till and there's this, in my local paper shop, there's all sorts of things on the counter. Oh, would you like that with your order? Bar of chocolate. Oh, that's actually quite tempting, you know, I think I will. So there's a percentage of people that do just that. It's always a good thing to do. So this is a good example of that, the Service Centre annual programme. Here's a Service Centre, Econolube, and this again is a real example. And all these things, you see all the things on there that are free. Well, why do they offer things free? Because they know that if you offer something free, that customer is going to come back for more things, and eventually they're going to buy things that actually cost more. The next example is really interesting because it's in the dentistry field. The dentist offers basic dental services like exams and teeth cleaning, but that's not the only thing they do, and it's not where they make their big money. And most dentistry and most money in dentistry comes from the big things like cosmetic, I can't even talk now, cosmetic services, root canals, crowns, you know, the sort of things. So how does a dentist get new clients? Why would somebody leave their dentist that they're perfectly happy with, go to a new dentist? Well, 85% of the population have medical insurance. Again, this is an American example, a bit different here in Britain. That means that only 50%, well, it doesn't mean that means that 15% don't have medical insurance, and it means that only 50% have dental insurance. Now, of those, 44% said that was the reason they didn't visit a dentist. So here's an opportunity if you're a brave dentist, as this one was. This dentist said, well, hey, there's a massive market there that we can tap into. So he specifically targeted families without dental insurance that thought they couldn't go to the dentist, and they didn't have to pay those premiums. And he put some flyers out and adverts out, say, hey, you need a dentist but you haven't got dental insurance? Don't worry, we can do it for you. He offered a routine exam and clean for $25, and that would usually cover his costs and his staff and all his overheads for that period of time that they were with him. But then he was able to upsell additional services like the crowns, fillings, etc., etc. Just like that oil change shop did. They changed your oil for a pittance or even free, but they were able to offer you other services. Cross-sells restaurants, here's a good one. What if staff brought the appetizer or wine cart to each table before the customers ordered? Do you think that might increase sales a little bit? Look at this. Do you want to try this? We went to a fancy restaurant near me. We're actually blessed with fancy restaurants near me. And they did just that. They brought our meal and they said, oh, by the way, we've got this extra complimentary dish. And I thought, that's very nice of you, which is exactly what they wanted me to think. Very interesting thing they brought. Can't remember what it was, but it was delicious. And I thought, yeah, that'd be great to go there again, which is exactly the purpose of doing that. So offer free samples because that increases sales. What if they did that at the end of the meal as well, brought the dessert cart round and offered a free sample of each dessert? Wow, that'd be fantastic. That'd suit me fine. I might go to that restaurant. But that increased the sales as well, quite significantly, because of the key factor of reciprocity. That means that if you offer something to somebody, they're inclined to do something for you back. So if you say, hey, would you like to try this dessert? Well, I wasn't going to, I'll just try it. Oh, do you know what? I think I will have it. Because you've been nice to me, I'll be nice to you. It's a subconscious thing and it works really well. And that restaurant that did that dramatically increased the total order revenue just by introducing that initial order upsell strategy. And the other thing, of course, is personal recommendation. Do you ever go to a restaurant and they say, what would you recommend? Well, it works really well. Oh, by the way, that wine goes really well with that. And that personal recommendation increases total revenue by 10 to 15%. It's remarkable how that works. We've run slightly over 45 minutes, but we'll keep it less than an hour, I promise you. How to expand your products and increase your customer revenue. So expansion of your products is really interesting. And you might think, well, I can't do that. I only offer one product, or I haven't got time to do that. But it's really worth thinking about. So, for example, a landscaper might go to somebody's home and mow the lawn. What if they offered tree trimming, decking, fencing, all that, the list on there, I'm not going to read them all. Throughout the year, different things, snow removal, putting some outdoor lights in, all these different things that a landscaper could offer to their clients. And also, of course, through JVs. Listen, can I point you in the direction of my friend Bob? He can do some fantastic outdoor lighting. Here's some photographs. And that's a great way to bring in services for both you and people that you might joint venture with. You could easily negotiate 10 or even 25% affiliate fee If I sell your product, you give me 25% of the takings that you make. With each of the providers that do that. So again, instant growth, very quickly, free to set up, and yet mutually beneficial for everybody involved. Myself, I'm a business growth strategist, but I don't just say I'm a business growth strategist. What I can help with is providing an e-learning system. I can give you weekly strategy marketing webinars. There's weekly application workshops that you could be invited to. There's what we call an Ask the Expert call, where each week we're talking to different people who've produced success in their business so you can learn from them. And there's monthly masterminds and group calls. And so that helps you to see that I don't just offer one thing, I offer a whole range of things that other people are involved in. Some are hands off, some are hands on, and yet you're going to grow more by using those. Discounting, I love discounting because it's a really daft thing to do. So instead of discounting, what we recommend, I'm going to explain that. What we recommend is bundling. What we recommend is bundling, the simple process of grouping together things that you can offer as a package, which are then sold. So that creates what we call an apples to oranges comparison, and it removes price from the equation. So you're not saying, hey, is it that or is it that? Well, why don't I offer you both of these things at this discounted price? But I'm not going to reduce the price of the first thing you want. I'm going to give you more, but for a better price. You see how that makes sense? Small businesses usually, well, not always, but very often think that they've got to argue on price. They've got to compete on price. And the only way they can do that is by reducing their price. Till over time, things have dropped down so low that, of course, your customers actually think, well, it's probably not worth anything. Go to a pound shop and, it's just not good quality. And yet what we're saying is actually if you bundle things together and say, yeah, that costs so much, but if you get this package, it's A, B, and C, we'll put them all together and it'll cost that much. And the value is not just better to the customer, is better for your wallet too. And price, if you reduce your prices, as I just said, price is the only thing that customers will take into consideration. But the real key to success is offering more value than your competition. Oh, I can get it for that price there, but if I go to that shop or that restaurant, I'll get A, B, and C, and it produces more value for your customer and more income for yourself. And according to research, prospects will pay twice the price if they believe they're receiving 4 times the value. So you can actually increase your price. But as we said earlier, lots of businesses just discount because they think that's going to draw people in. But actually it destroys your margins. And when I talk to people more about this in more detail, I go through this in quite a lot of detail. And it's fascinating how if you reduce your price, you discount your price by just 10%, you have to not increase your sales by 10%, but actually by 50% just to break even. You have to bring in 50% more sales. It's an incredible number. And as I say, I go through that in more detail, but here it is very briefly. If you sell something for £100 and you've got a 30% profit margin, you make £30 for each one you sell. So your cost basis for that item is £70. But if you discount that and sell it for 90 so that you can get more clients in, instead of 100%, your cost basis is 70. Is still £70, not dollars. I have to talk to my secretary. So your profit margin is only £20 instead of £30. You see how much that's altered in a negative way for you. So to make 1,000 in profits, selling their widgets at 100 each, you would need to sell 33.3 widgets to make £100 profit. But if you discount it, you'd have to sell 50 widgets, an incredibly large number compared to what you were doing before, just to make ends meet. And that's why discounting is not a good idea. But what if you did? What if you did this? I'm actually just talking about discounts. You know, how often do you just see a 10% discount? Sometimes you see 15, 50% discounts because they're so keen to bring people in. And you know, I'm maybe speaking to the converted. Maybe you've done that. It's a temptation, isn't it? You want people to come through the door. What I'm saying is offer value, not low prices. Often, as I say, you know, 20 to 40% discounts. But what that has, what the impact that has on your business, on your bottom line, is immense. And the bad news on top of that is that the latest research shows that discounting actually doesn't impact the prospect's buying decision unless it's more than 40%. So you're not getting those more customers that you'd like to get. And the closely guarded secret is that you must stop discounting. Bundle instead, give more value, and then you can you'll see not just customers coming in for that value, but you'll see loyal customers coming back because they know they're going to get value for money from you. And even if you increase your price, you will still get those customers. When you discount, you lose the full value of every dollar you discount. There's a lovely example here of a home builder who decided that he would offer electronics in his new homes. And he worked out that people wanted a TV, they wanted a surround sound system, security system, and for fire protection in their homes. And of course, you buy a home and then you install those afterwards. And he worked out that if he could offer that bundle to them, the retail price was $22,800, but he could source it for only $6,500. And he would offer that free as part of his home building. Wouldn't be part of their costs, it would be part of his costs. But they knew they were getting $22,800 worth of equipment installed, ready to use, using his own crew, of course. So he was competing with other builders in a moderately priced neighbourhood. Other builders offered homes in the region of 150,000. I don't know where that is. It's nowhere where I live, but that's what they were offering. Now he included an extra £6,500 worth of out-of-pocket expenses, and yet, which builder would you go to? Someone where you've got to go out and find all those things and find someone else to install them. You'd go to the one that was offering that, and he was able to do that and still offer the home at slightly more money and yet with that huge amount of extra value. That's what bundling is about. But finally, you need to be able to cut costs and unnecessary expenses, because if you can cut costs instantly, you're increasing your revenue. So to do that, you could raise your prices. And I say that, and that can be a scary thing, as I said right at the beginning, because raising your prices, well, a lot of people have never done that. If you ask people, and I do ask businesses, when's the last time you raised your prices? Oh, well, I had to do it last year because, oh yeah, but I haven't really done it. Because there's a fear that you will lose clients. They're scared to death that any price increase will lead to a mass exodus of their customers. But it just doesn't. So what if you were selling something for 100 and you increased it by the 10% that we talked about earlier to 110? How many customers do you think you'd really lose? Well, maybe you'd lose a small number. But actually, the ones you lose, as I touched on earlier, will be likely to be the ones that weren't really loyal to you, didn't really want to patronize your business, not in a positive way, and were likely to go somewhere else anyway, moan about everything you do. So actually you can do without those. But there would also be customer attrition. To what extent? That is an additional £10 profit each time you've done that. 33% increase just on those figures. And that would mean if you were making £1,000 profit selling that widget at £100 each, you'd need to sell 33 widgets. Increasing that to 10%, by 10%, as we said earlier, you'd only need to sell 25 widgets to make the same amount of profit. So in order to just break even, you'd have to lose 25%, a quarter of your customers over that 10% price increase. Do you really think you're going to lose a quarter of your customers over that? Very, very unlikely. So don't worry about that. Increase your prices. Experiment, small amount. Test the increase on a small scale, as I've said, and gauge your reaction. And this is the key to that. There's no faster or easier way to generate additional revenue. Option 2, of course, is decrease the cost of doing business. So we've talked about all sorts of ways, 8 ways in each of those 5 areas that we can boost the profits, the income, the revenue of your businesses. And all you've got to do really is to add up how that would affect you. So how would the advertising affect your bottom line? How would those joint ventures affect your bottom line? And when I work with businesses or talk to businesses initially, this is the exact process we go to give you real figures for your business. How much would a downsell or a drip campaign or upsells or expand your offerings or bundling make to your difference? What difference would it make to your business? And then scribble a total down, and you can see how very quickly and very easily we can make a significant amount of difference to your bottom line just by making some small changes, which many businesses just do not do, partly because they don't know about them and partly because of fear. Like we say, if you increase your prices, are you going to lose customers? Well, how many will you lose? That's the key thing that we need to think about. And this isn't a one-time increase. This is what I want for you in your businesses. I want you to produce income, an increase that's going to carry on year after year as long as you execute these strategies. And once you've got them in motion, you're not suddenly going to stop, are you? Once you see that return on investment for your time and a little bit of money sometimes and a bit of brain power thinking up these ideas, which again I'm here to help you to do, it becomes easier as time goes on because it becomes more familiar, and suddenly you get all sorts of ideas that you could use to increase your revenue. Let's just have a look at that again. And do you remember we talked about going from 62,000 at the bottom there to 100,000 just with a 10% increase, and then that 50% increase led to nearly 500,000 profit just by doing those few little things. And there's much more than that we can work on together if you'd like to investigate that with me. So just with those small changes, you can see what a difference you can make to your bottom line just by introducing some small changes. And as I say, when I work with businesses, I always err on the very conservative side, 3 to 5%, less than 10% changes. What if you got 50% increases by doing some of these things? And that's very, very easy to do. When you execute each of these 8 strategies, you've created a system for your business that generates a consistent large number of leads, conversions and sales continually as long as you do it. And as we said about Dr. Smith, if you don't want to do it anymore, you can just stop it. If you've got too much business coming in, very nice, just stop it, don't continue, that's fine. But once you get into this, you can see how simply and how effectively and quickly you can make significant changes. And it's all down to systemization. It creates a self-sustaining model, and that's what you want, something that you can eventually move away from and become hands-free in order to allow things to literally run themselves. And that's when you go towards economic freedom, but also freedom of time. If you can systematize things so that they are working efficiently and well, maybe with some people that are doing that for you, or maybe you have virtual assistants to do some of these things, then it increases the time available to do other things that are more important. Is your family more important? Are holidays more important? Do you need to go places, do things, do voluntary work? I don't know what it might be, what your hot button is, what your interest is. But by doing this, it allows you to do some of that. So if you build a website and deliver it to a customer, maybe that's your business. You're building websites. Once you've delivered it, you've got to go and find another client. But if you execute the 8 talked about, you will always have new orders coming in, through advertising and your drip campaign. You'll have JVs sending you revenue. You'll have upsells and downsells that are increasing your profitability on a daily basis. And you've got other services that you can offer. and customers willing to pay your higher prices for the higher value that you offer. You've also got lower costs, so your margins are better. So this is our proprietary process, and as I said at the beginning, I don't sell, but I'm showing you what I offer. And if you're interested in exploring this further and thinking about how these can specifically work for you, then get in touch. So I won't read all that, you can see that there and come back to it if you want to. But these are all the things that we've talked about and I can help you with to ensure that you can develop your business in the way that you want to develop it by using simple steps to move you on to the level that you want to be at. And overall, I help people build £1 million business, because sometimes if that's not your goal, then that's fine. Let's talk about building a £50,000 business or whatever it might be. You don't have to go for the top, but if you want to do that, you can do by using these steps, working together with me to help you achieve that. Everything that I've outlined for you is available in my system, and again, I won't go through this in detail. We can talk about that more on a brief call. We can go into the details of what I can offer, how I can help you, and if it's something you're interested in, then I'm happy to talk more to you. We assess you, we create a roadmap. There's 52 weeks, a whole year, that is a whole year, isn't it, of video fundamentals in business, how to run a business better. There's a quick start program, because you don't want to be looking at a year down the line wondering what's going to happen. I want you to see results fast. There's the 5-step profit formula sections, as we've talked about, and then a licensing program that I help put into place to build that £1 million business, if that's your desire. Now, I will talk about pricing just to give you an idea, so I'm upfront and open about this. As I say, there's no sales aspect to this, but I want people to know, because I make this as affordable as possible. There's a huge amount of value in what I offer to businesses. And I do it on a month-to-month membership program. And the price is, if you buy a year up front, it's £3,000 for the year. But if you want to pay by the month, it's only £300 a month. Now, it's slightly more expensive, of course, because it's an ongoing expense for you, and it makes things slightly more awkward for me. But those are the prices. I don't offer any other complicated things, but if there are things that you're particularly interested in, you can ask me about that. But it gives you complete and total access to everything you need to do exactly what we've talked about. The resources you need, the advertising, the marketing information, training videos, everything that you will need to do what we've talked about. There is nothing left out. And I also offer weekly group coaching, so that if you're involved with a team, or you're an individual that wants to bring other people in, or other people that I bring in to weekly group coaching, that teaches you specific lead generation and revenue generating strategies. And so that makes it a way that's accessible to you to fit in with your timetable, really. I usually offer that for £300 a month, but I include that in my £3,000 for the year. So I don't charge extra for that. That's all part of what I offer. It's included totally free with my full package. So the only thing standing in the way of your growth using these techniques and all the additional information that I'd love to share with you is to answer that question: would you like me to help you? If you would like me to help you, just get in touch and I will share all that information with you. And that's a special spring offer. I want to do something for people. We've had 2 really difficult years over the past couple of years, and I want to help people move on to where they should be, where they should have been maybe a year ago if things hadn't gone the way they went. We've got that 12-month membership program, but I'm also going to include free 30-minute call to tackle your biggest challenge on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, whenever you want that. I'm quite happy to talk to you. I'm at your disposal, if you like. The e-learning academy that I mentioned briefly a moment ago, I should really charge $4.97 a month for that. A lot of people do, and more, but I include that in my full package. And the group coaching should be £300 a month, but I include that as well, because I want you to have, like a supermarket shelf, the whole thing available to you to pick and choose what's going to work best for you. And I'll talk through that with you when we chat to find the best options for you for wherever you are now. So contact me. There's my contact information, my email address there at the top. There's also, if you want to not just talk to me, but book a chat, might book some of my time, just go to that Calendly link, calendly.com, Deptford/strategy, and then we can get together. I usually meet people for about 45 minutes, chat through in detail how this can help their business, what it would look like with their own figures, and then we can make a decision whether or not you want me to help you or not, to be honest with you. And if you say, well, actually, no, thanks, I've got enough ideas now, nice to meet you. I like it if you say that. Nice to meet you, but I'm going to go it alone, then that's fine. But if you say, well, listen, you know, some of that will be fantastic, let's do this, then I'd be more than happy to help you. If there's any questions, again, just email me or book a time to talk to me and we will answer. I'll do my best to answer any questions. We'll work through things together to make things as positive as possible for your business as you move on in this year. Anyway, it's been great to see you all, great to contact you and great to speak to you and really great to share these ideas. That's what I love doing, sharing this with people and helping you to understand how making those small changes can have a massive impact. And with that said, I shall see you soon. Get in touch. I'd love to talk to you and look out for my future webinars as well. Take care. Bye for now.